And finally, in Latin America, where the policies of the Maduro government are intensifying Venezuela's long-standing dispute with Guyana, the two neighbors have been in a conflict over the oil-rich region of Essequibo. The Maduro government has approved the creation of a new state in Essequibo, which is currently under the control of the Guyanese administration. Now, is this a fight for Venezuela's sovereignty or Maduro's attempt to bolster support ahead of the presidential election? Our next report seeks to provide answers.
The long-standing dispute between Latin American neighbors Venezuela and Guyana is brewing into a storm. They've been at loggerheads over the oil-rich region of Essequibo. And now, this storm is further being fueled by Venezuela's domestic politics.
Las honorables diputadas y los honorables diputados que estén a favor de aprobar.
Venezuelan lawmakers allied with President Nicolas Maduro have approved the creation of a new state in Essequibo, the disputed territory with Guyana. The Maduro government claims it has the right to govern Essequibo. Tensions peaked between the two sides last year. In December, both Venezuela and Guyana agreed to avoid any use of force after the leaders of the two nations met. However, satellite images from last month show Venezuela expanding military bases near its border with Guyana. The dispute is also pending at the International Court of Justice. The ICJ is to decide on which country the territory belongs to, but Venezuela has already ruled out accepting an ICJ decision. It says it doesn't recognize the International Court of Justice. Last year, Venezuela also held a referendum to claim sovereignty over Essequibo. The Maduro government said 95% of voters approved territorial claim on the territory and called it a big win. Guyana hit back, saying its borders are not up for discussion and that it will defend its sovereignty.
We have taken the first steps of a new historical stage to fight for what is ours, to recover what the liberators left us, the Guyana Essequibo. The Venezuelan people have spoken loud and clear, and this victory belongs to all the people of Venezuela, without discrimination or partisanship.
The measures announced are in blatant disregard of the order given by the International Court of Justice on December 1st, 2023. Guyana views this as an imminent threat to its territorial integrity and will intensify precautionary measures to safeguard its territory.
The disputed territory Essequibo, which is currently governed by Guyana, is notable for two reasons. One, it is massive. The 160,000 square kilometer region is mostly thick jungle. It makes up roughly 2/3 of the entire land area of Guyana. It's even larger than the size of England. Two, and more importantly, the land is rich in natural resources, primarily petroleum. This territorial dispute has roots in the colonial era. In the late 1800s, the US and the UK agreed to split the territory between modern-day Guyana and Venezuela. A majority of the Essequibo region was granted to the Guyanese administration. The conflict remained mostly dormant in the 21st century until 2013. That year, Guyana discovered abundant petroleum reserves in the territorial waters above Essequibo. The discovery of offshore oil and gas continued in the following years. Today, Guyana's petroleum reserves are similar to those of Kuwait. It even outranks Saudi Arabia, Norway and Qatar as the country with the world's second highest oil reserves per capita. And access to even a part of these reserves could bring in respite for Venezuela's struggling economy. The Venezuelan economy has collapsed in the last decade despite having some of the largest oil deposits in the world. It has been battling spiraling inflation. There are domestic troubles too, including organized crime, gang violence and corruption. But President Nicolas Maduro has been amping up threats to annex the neighbor. Maduro has attempted to use the conflict with Guyana to bolster support at home. His saber-rattling has also intensified as polls in the Latin American country draw closer. Venezuela will go to polls in July this year to choose a president for a 6-year term. So, is Nicolas Maduro using the decades-long dispute to divert attention from domestic issues ahead of elections?